The gangs that were around Columbia in the 60s and 70s, meaning Columbia University in New York City, probably at some point tried taking a dean of the school, one of the schools in California or something, hostage. Um, at the very least, I've seen pictures of them taking over the offices of the deans. What they have never reported is that their most successful operation was to take the child of what they considered to be overly precious patriarch hostage, tortured him, humiliated him, subjected him to implants and terroristic entrapment, disfigurement, defacement, threats of further carnage, murder of bystanders, in order to create a sacrificial animal that would be shunned by the administrators who they were targeting through a proxy of a little boy. And it's very difficult to fathom how well it has worked. And it's ridiculous to put off on me that it was because I played my role. Because I will, as I discussed this, show that the rule was one that had to be uncovered and exposed. And there was no other way to do it than to play into it. Now, the Marquis de Sade had a book called Good Conduct, Well Chastised. It's a very strange honor code at the University of Washington, the University of Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon University, University of Southern California, and Columbia. It's a very strange honor code at the Postal Service that considers good conduct, well chastised, to be honorable conceptioning of the um, purposes and irrationality of their reasons for um, the way that they organize and execute and behave. The University of Pittsburgh had a notorious professor in administration who was a leader of the Panther Hollow bridge gangs, NAACP, and he said that white people would not change until they're afraid of black people. And of course, he wanted to upstage the new black militants with his warrior conceptionings of power plays. And he meant that white people would never change to include black people in their corruption and business as usual until it was more dangerous for them not to include black people in their corruption and business as usual than it would be to not to disenfranchise them further. And for this reason, they bonded together in a way that is an organized crime network. I find it difficult to fathom. I can express and name the game and perpetrators, but difficult to fathom the drivenness, the obsession of the Morgan family, Granger Morgan and Ann Mitchell at Carnegie Mellon University with robbing me. I mean, it's like for them, it's like a mental health absolute, something that they must do. Um, like a dog that chews the paper every morning. And to keep them from biting somebody else, administrators have laughed it off. The situation they put together in Seattle is absolutely giddy with Fern Hollow Bridge Gang absolutism. I mean, they can't believe the serial poisons that they subjected an innocent deaf person to in the name of avenging um, the black man for imaginary things that they manufactured. They have a Jewish law firm that has succeeded in they have a Jewish law firm that has succeeded in setting me up for brain surgery by a peer from childhood who wanted revenge on a nice blonde boy for the horrors of Yad Vashem. And they use agent names of my family members, like Gretchen and Jeff, because in the switchboard community of the Mellons, they've secured that my half sister Jane and Jeff and Jane's sister Gretchen all were part of the Deliverance. They took me to see the film Deliverance. Deliverance situation, I was put through a Manson ordeal in childhood that Julian Lennon and Sean Lennon have exploited to benefit the people they say killed their father. Now let's look at this really directly. Mark David Chapman was arrested and he went to prison. And the media seemed to believe that he would be more likely to throw away his life killing John Lennon than to throw away his life killing millions of people when the AIDS attack, if that's what he wanted to do. So they have an aversion to arresting Gail Burston. They obsess over me, but they have an aversion to arresting Gail Burston. Because if they arrested Gail Burston, it would come out that Mark David Chapman's real movement was the AIDS attack and that John Lennon was his partner, which I will get to. I will show you that John Lennon pulled a Houdini. I will show, not tell. I will show. I have all of the evidence here in my apartment that proves that the reason they targeted me was because John Lennon saw the name James McRowland Crary, knew my father, and wanted to advocate for Yoko Ono. And Yoko Ono said it's either him or me. And the NAACP is a monstrosity put together by Joe Biden to do the service of a Tojo Ronan pseudo widow who has a birth certificate that claims her husband was is a death certificate that they pulled through a Houdini system that they mastered through closet slapping five at the backroom media barbershop in the council chambers behind the revolving bookshelves, of which I saw literally in some of these people's houses, literally. So what they have in mind is the destruction of the welfare of the public through a clickety-clack system of irrational linkages. Like, for example, if they have a secret spy ring that they dance around me about. It's my grandfather's wedding ring to my grandmother. There's evidence. The police department can see. They're not stupid. If they wanted to put together the Blumenfeld and Jello Meanie contract into Blue Meanies, they would be able to see that the name Jello, it was the name of a notorious mafia fellow. They would be able to see that Ronnie Zinski is part of a sin cleanse index, Zinski, And that Ronnie and Casper, the names of Ronald Reagan and Casper Weinberger, and Casper is suspicious for the Houdini situation that I've discovered from the media empire. So the point of that is that they could see the index ecologies if they wanted to. They could look into the idea that um, Anna Kwan was targeted because her name is like Ayn Rand. And I gave Michelle Kwan the gold ring at one point because I believed her performance was so beautiful and timely. So they have this, an EK form is a name in the index in the Morgans, like even now, by the hour, miles an hour. They would be able to see these things technically if they weren't robots of the pharmaceutical agency. Put that in your mouth, you have paranoid schizophrenia. And then the Jews get giddy at sound mental health because they build momentum towards their brain surgery experiment. You see? And Gail Burston, who they refused to arrest, wrote, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they aren't out to get you. That's how sick the NAACP is. They, for a laugh, help somebody pull off a brain surgery heist. And it is a heist. They're working with John Schulman, who was arrested in the $6 million museum heist. And Roger Waters is the psychopath. So is Oliver Stone. And both of these men are heavily invested with the Morgans, with Ann Mitchell, with Paul McCartney, in pulling this atrocity. And lest you carry on, Jeff Thompson gave me a picture of a wind and weathering tree for Christmas. It's the only time she ever gave me a present. There's a song on that called 11th Earl of Mar about a whining little Tsarina son. It was explained to me by magna cum thaws of Harvard. The Tsarina had a son who was consumptive, and the peasants were disgusted by his weakness, and so there was a revolution. The idea is that the 11th Earl of Mar is a cringing little critter who doesn't believe the Fernholler Bridge guys. He says ha to the Fernholler Bridge guy and their philosophy. And so everybody's out to get him. He's simplicissimus. Everybody must humiliate him, like a dog tearing the newspaper first thing in the morning. And this is the legend that they play off of me. So this criminal crowd has this deranged idea that I must be humiliated. Must. For the black man, for Yoko Ono, because honorary the black man. Yoko Ono's money renders her honorary the black man. I mean, Proctor pulled out a mountain of swastikas and told me they were the ancient honorary the African symbols. Well, in the sense that the Green Party has an African mafia, I mean, you should look into Jaguna Kabuki, and Y is pronounced J, and that's a notorious symbol for Trumpington. Jaguna is gun is in there, and Kabuki has bug in it, gun bug. And then they put Dono, who on my father's obituary, in German Green Party, and of course the master of all of this is the white parochial in the administration. Sean Brooks made off with the girl who Penis Gabriel made out like was going to be the love of my life, who was a Trumpington switchboard attack prostitute. And this represents the NAACP. They have the Proctor's book has this man who had a black employee. And he said, you know, I know you would never turn on me just because I'm white. Proctor writes how they were all laughing as she provided information about his personal affairs. And they had a good woman next to me who was writing, exploiting my deafness, writing me these letters so they can humiliate me and my girlfriend in the gym with the hoodies. And then they say, oh, how dare you not hire us? They're not working in good faith. the absence of good faith in the NAACP is a serious issue. Get it through your head. If they're not going to operate in good faith, they're part of this African mafia who say, well, Africa is starving, crush the empire, the Spinner Beanies of Cornell West. And I'll tell you what they pulled in Pittsburgh. They set me up with a one night stand who was working with Good Kind, as usual, the white master. And she misrepresents that she has a roommate who's away, and she seduces me. Okay, big deal. It's a campus situation in Pittsburgh. The Black Man of Jeffin turned it into a caustic play about Ono's love general who controls the sexy Sadies of Trumpy Toon Village to a Thai prostitute, and the black man called dibs on the symbol of life, Midori Goto, in the AIDS attack. And Jeffin Corporation, Obama, Biden was like, all this establishes the new era of pecking order. He's the godfather of the German Green Party. Don't believe this hymnography. Russia was in on it too. That's what Putin was chosen to represent. These people are upset. They believe women are chattel. And you can't reason with women because women are like this to the crow-caggery goose to Yoko Ono. Pamela Jayapal will never admit that it was entrapment because my father was the white patriarch. You see, it's all spinner beanie stuff. So they've done this, and there's quite a list of issues that come up, but I wanted to get this situation in terms of university politics on tape.